Hello students, welcome once again to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to read another lessons from your English textbook, course book. Can you recognize the person in this picture? Who is this person? Whose picture is this? Let's check it out. Today we are going to read a lesson on Marie Curie, a famous scientist. Chapter number 7, Marie Curie. But before we read, let's ponder a few moments. Name these scientists who faced a lot of hardships but finally overcame them. You can see Einstein, Abdul Kalam, and two more. You have to identify them. Did you know Marie Curie was not only the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, but also the only person to win a Nobel Prize in two different subjects, in physics and chemistry? That's amazing. So Marie Curie was not only the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, but also the only person to win a Nobel Prize in two different subjects, in physics and chemistry. That's why she was a brilliant scientist. When you want to do something but face some problems, how do you react? Do you try to remove the obstacle and continue your work, or become sad and don't do anything at all? Discuss. Now let's read the lesson. The Sklodowska family studied together in the evenings so that the parents, who were both teachers, could help the children. Georgia, Bronia, Hella, and Giorgio with their homework. Władysław Sklodowski had a huge appetite for learning and made sure his children grew after with a respect for education. One evening, as her 7-year-old sister Bronia stumbled over a passage she had to read aloud, Władysław and Bronislaw was youngest child, 3.5-year-old Mary, or Mania, as she was called at home, picked up her older sister's book, taking up from the point where Bron had left off. She began reading fluently, effortlessly, from the textbook, completely unaware of the astonished expressions of her family members when she looked up and, here let's check it out. The word appetite means a strong liking for something, stumble over, made a mistake, effortlessly, easily. Saw the almost horrified look on the face of her parents and sibling. She grew frightened and burst into tears. I did not do that on purpose, she said, explaining her actions. It was just so easy. Why do you think Mary's parents were astonished? When Mary was born on November 7, 1867, her mother was the headmistress of one of Warsaw's girls' schools. Adjoining their home, Mary, who was the youngest of 5 children, would often see her mother struggling with the work of running a big household as well as the school. During these years, the house had many guests. One of these guests was Władysław's brother, who came to live with them when he was ill. He had tuberculosis, a disease that spreads mainly through the germ-infected air when somebody who already has the disease coughs or sneezes. Unfortunately, this disease afflicted Mary's mother. The disease was then incurable, managed by a series of rest and recuperation treatments in places where the climate was not so cold. As a result, Mary's mother often had to be away from her at a sanatorium where only Mary's oldest sister, Georgia, could go with her. Here the word afflicted means affected. Recuperations, recovery from illness. Sanatorium, a type of hospital for sick people who need rest and a lot of care. When Mary was 9, her sister Georgia died of typhus, but the greatest tragedy of young Mary's life occurred when her mother died a few months before her 11th birthday. How do you think these tragedies would influence Mary? Afterwards, Mary and her sisters would often play a make-believe game about a genius doctor who finds a miracle cure for a serious illness. Mary's dreams of using science and medicine to help humanity was rooted in her encounter with tragedy. Very early in life, foundations of Mary's later learning was laid in her childhood by her father's diligent efforts to teach his children Greek, Latin, Russian, Polish, French, German, and English by reading to them, besides sharing with them books on physics and chemistry. Mary took so naturally to learning and reading that her parents tried to prevent her premature development by distracting her with outings and boisterous games. During Mary's childhood, Poland was occupied by Russian forces. When she began studying in the private school of Miss Sikorska, there were periodic inspections by Russian inspectors to see if the children were being taught Russian. It was forbidden to teach the children in Polish, their own mother tongue, but the teachers did just that. Mary's teacher, Antonin Tupalska, knew Mary's flawless grasp of anything that was taught to her. When the inspectors arrived to check the students' knowledge of the Russian language and history, Mary Sklodowska was always put forward as the example to be interrogated by the inspector. She spoke flawless Russian and answered all the questions put to her, but the effort sometimes proved to be too great a strain on Mary. But after each such ordeal, Mary would weep in the arms of Miss Tupalska, her nerves exhausted by the efforts of covering up for the whole school. Diligent meaning someone who works hard and is careful. Premature happening before the usual time. Boisterous, noisy, energetic and cheerful. Forbidden, not allowed. Strain, worry that is caused by having to deal with a problem, ordeal, a terrible or painful experience. Why do you think Mary used to get exhausted after the interrogation? After her mother and eldest sister's death, it had been Mary's sister Bronia who had taken over the responsibility of looking after the family. And yet Bronia managed to complete her schooling by being the topmost student of the school. As her sister, Mary felt an intense pressure to do similarly well and applied herself in the last 5 years of school to her studies. When she graduated from school at the age of 15, she earned herself a gold medal as the best student. Now let's see. Prepared. Walk in pairs and enact the make-believe game that Mary and her sister used to play. Your play can center around new inventions that can help humanity, which can be finding a solution to water scarcity, deforestation, global warming, and so on. Practice comprehension. Fill in the blanks with words from the text. You can do this after reading the text, after reading the story carefully again. Let's check out the question answers. Answer these questions with reference to the context. 1. A disease that spread mainly through the germ-infected air when somebody who already has the disease coughs or sneezes. Which disease is being referred to? Who was the somebody who gave the infection to Mary's mother? What else is said about the disease? After each such ordeal, Mary would weep in the arms of Miss Tupalska. What was the ordeal? Why would Mary weep? Who was Miss Tupalska? 3. Mary felt an intense pressure to do similarly well. Why was Mary under pressure? What did she do to do similarly well? Did Mary succeed? How do you do? How do you know? Answer these questions. Why did Sklodowska family study together? What did Władysław Sklodowski want to ensure for his children? What was so special about Mary when she was a child? When was Mary born? Why did Mary's mother have to go to the sanatorium so often? What was the greatest tragedy of Mary's life? How did Mary's father lay the foundations of her future? What was Mary's dream as a child? Who looked after the family after the death of Mary's mother and eldest sister? How did the teachers in Mary's school deal with the Russian inspector? These questions you have to keep in mind while reading the story again. Perfect vocabulary, antonym, professions. Find antonyms of the following words from the lesson: tiny, fearless, mentally slow, comedy, lazy, imperfect. Who would say these lines? Choose from the given words: politicians, chess players, dentist with vet, film director, photographer. You have options. You have to pick out the words appropriate and suitable and fill in the blanks from the box. Okay. Number 1, I don't like looking in mouths all day. I think this line will be spoken by a dentist. Most probably a dentist, because the job of a dentist is to treat and take care of the teeth that is inside our mouth. You can try this. We have grammar section here. Articles, possessive pronouns. Let's see. Articles are divided into 2 categories: definite article, the, and indefinite articles, a and and. Let's check it out. Definite article the talks about one particular noun. It can be used with singular, plural, or uncountable nouns. For example, I want the red rose. I want the yellow roses. He drank the water. Indefinite articles a and only appear with singular nouns. A is used with words that begin with consonant sounds and is used with words that begin with vowel sounds. For example, please give me a pen. Any pen will do here. There is an ant on the table. Uncountable nouns are nouns that cannot be counted. Indefinite articles are never used with these nouns. For example, we cannot say, please give me a water. Please give me some water. We have to say the second one. Or please give me a glass of water, like this. Fill in the blanks using appropriate articles, a and or the. I will do the one for you. Gold is a precious metal. You can say like that. You can put the appropriate article in the space given and fill in the blanks. You already know that a pronoun is used in place of a noun that has already been mentioned. For example, Rahul took the books with him. The pronouns mine, yours, hers, his, ours, and theirs are known as possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns show that something belongs to someone. For example, these shoes are mine, not yours. Here the words mine and yours are possessive pronouns and stand for my shoes and your shoes respectively. Possessive pronouns mine, yours, ours, hers, his, and theirs cannot be used before a noun. The formed my, your, our, her, his, and their are actually possessive adjectives. They are always used before a noun. For example, this is his pant, possessive adjective before noun pant. This pen is his, possessive pronoun. Choose the correct options. You have to try this. You are given options in the bracket. Number 1, I will do it for you. This is my pen. Where is yours? Y-O-U-R-S, yours. Try the remaining. Very easy. Performed writing. Imagine you are Mary. Write a letter to your friend telling her about what you want to do when you grow up. Mention the incidents that made you think that way. Of course, we have learned how to write a letter in the previous classes. You can try this. This kind of letter writing is personal and not a formal one. So you can use your own words which express you better, and don't try to be formal. Listening exercise, and you have to do this also. True and false. Speaking, acceptance speech. Imagine yourself to be 15-year-old Marie Curie accepting the award for the best students. Now give an acceptance speech. You can use the following hints. Speech in the center. People who help you, like your parents, teachers, your friends, your relatives, like that. Situations, events, incidents that help you. You have to recall or imagine such things. Next, who, what inspired you? Maybe your teacher, maybe a scientist, maybe someone you have read about in the books or seen in the televisions, plans for the future. You have to think about it also. Okay, now, students, let me summarize the story for you. The story is about Marie Curie and her family. Her parents were teachers and made sure the children grew out with a respect for education. Her mother was the headmistress of one of Warsaw's girls' schools adjoining their home. Mary was the youngest of 5 children. Soon her mother was afflicted with tuberculosis, which was then incurable. As a result, she often had to be away at a sanatorium where only Mary's oldest sister, Georgia, could go. Mary's sister, Georgia, died of typhus, and her mother died a few months before Mary's birthday. The sisters often played a make-believe game about a genius doctor who finds a miracle cure for a serious illness. Mary's teacher was aware of her flawless grasp of anything that was taught to her. When the inspectors arrived to check the students' knowledge of the Russian language and history, Mary Sklodowska was always put forward as the example to be interrogated by the inspector. When she graduated from school at the age of 15, she earned herself a gold medal as the best student.